Hey everyone, and welcome to our 90th episode of Common Knowledge, where I take a look at some common Magic the Gathering cards and I tell you, are they good in the Pauper format or not? 90 episodes. That's a lot. Maybe we'll get something to celebrate. Let's see what our first card is. It is Intrepid Provisioner. It's 3 and a green for a 3/3 human scout with trample. When this creature enters, another target human you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. He's not terrible. 3/3 Trampler is fine body for Pauper. We see a lot of cards that do similar things that are pretty well respected in Pauper. The +2/+2 when it enters to another human. Humans are the most common creature type, I'm pretty sure. So that's probably going to find a good target. You could. 4 mana is just a little more than you want to spend for something like this. And so yeah, it's not really going to get played. You just have better options available to you for 4 mana. And you'll play those options. This guy's fine, though. He's totally fine. I'll give him a 2.5. That's what a fine card gets. Up next, we have a Kamigawa card, baby. Spiraling Embers is 3 and a red for a sorcery that is an arcane spell. Spiraling Embers deals damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand. That's not very good. Not very good. It's 4 mana, it's sorcery speed, and you when you can cast a 4 mana spell, you've probably put down a number of lands, probably played a number of other spells. You probably don't have a ton of cards in your hand at that point, especially when you're in red. You're kind of dumping your hand more in red than most other colors. I know Kamigawa really liked, especially Saviors, the final set in the block. Really liked, hand size stuff, and that worked well with the mechanic it had, Sweep, which is a bad mechanic that could return a bunch of lands to your hand. From the battlefield, not even from the graveyard where you'd want them, but not a fantastic mechanic. But it could put a lot of cards in your hand, and then you could play something like this and do a lot of damage. Yeah, but without that, it's not good. it's a bad card. I'm gonna give this a 1.4, and we'll keep going. To Tiamat's Fanatics for 4 and a red, you get a 4/3 Dragon Warrior with haste and Myriad. Whenever this creature attacks, for each opponent other than defending player, you may create a token copy that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Exile those tokens at the end of combat. This was made for Commander Legends, Battle for Baldur's Gate, and that makes sense because Myriad is a multiplayer format card, not something you play one-on-one because it doesn't do anything. So really, this is just a 5 mana 4/3 with haste, and those are not good enough stats to really make a dent in Pauper. Let's go ahead and give this guy a 1.6, I guess. Still not very good. Hey, we just kind of had this. We had Graph Rats recently, and we looked at Midnight Scavengers and what they turn into as Chittering Hosts. So we've already done this. I think this is really fun. I have not seen a Pauper deck try to make a meld happen, but man, maybe I can do it. We'll see. But we'll move on. We're not giving a score to that because we've already done it. Lightning Elemental is 3 and a red for a 4/1 Elemental with haste. That's the whole card. I remember Lightning Elemental from Mirrodin. It's earlier than that, but was it in Mirrodin? It was not even in Mirrodin. What am I talking about? I'm thinking of a different card. Now I want to know what card I was thinking of. But originally from Tempest, Lightning Elemental. It's okay. I mean, it's not. It's not actually okay. It's 4 mana for a 4/1 with haste. Those are not very good stats. Ball Lightning is kind of what they're going for here, but it's not as good because Ball Lightning had trample and cost less and did more damage. It was a 6/1, not a 4/1. So this is kind of a fixed Ball Lightning and they fixed it too much. It's not good anymore. Now I need to know what my card is. What card am I talking about? We'll come back to this. Oh, well, I guess I need to give it a score. It's like a, I don't know, 1.9. That's too high. That's very much too high. But we're I need to know. Let's go block. It might not actually be from Mirrodin, but I think it is from the Mirrodin block. And it's a red card, I know that. I'll know it when I see it. Spark Elemental, that's the one I was thinking of. That's a different Ball Lightning, a different fixed Ball Lightning. 1 mana for a 3/1 with Trample at Haste, and at the end of the turn you sacrifice it. So that is much more the Ball Lightning I was thinking of. But yeah, Spark Elemental, Lightning Elemental, you can see how I made that mistake. Anyway, glad I'm not crazy. Orazka Raptor is 2 and double red for a 3/4 dinosaur. That's all it is, and that's all it will ever be. And that's not good enough. For a vanilla creature, you need better stats than that. Man, vanilla creatures are so hard to gauge on something here because they're all low. They're all low scoring, generally, unless you gotta have some really crazy stats, and even then, you probably don't play them. But I don't know. Like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. You'll never play this, so it's just varying degrees of not that great. But let's give this thing a 1.4. Sure. 1.4. And move on to Street Wraith. Hey, we got a good card here. We got a staple of at least one deck. That's pretty good for episode 90. Street Wraith is 3 and double black for a 3/4 Wraith. It's got Swamp Walk. None of that really matters, because what matters here is that it has cycling for pay 2 life. You pay 2 life, you discard this card, and you draw a card. So Cycle Storm is a deck that you see in Pauper sometimes. Not a hugely popular deck, but popular enough. And it's all about cycling a ton of cards and being able to get cards back, and cycling a bunch of cards again and getting cards back, and doing crazy combo stuff and stormy stuff, and it's nuts. I'm not a big combo deck fan, so it's not really my cup of tea, but I totally understand its power. It's a cool card. Originally from Future Sight. Yeah, originally from Future Sight. Yeah. And has the cool border. I think I have a copy of this. Couple bucks. Look at me. Look at me getting a couple bucks, and every other copy is worth basically nothing. But yeah, Street Wraith's a cool card. I wouldn't say it's all that playable as a creature. 3/4 for 5, and Swamp Walk. Swamp Walk is not hugely relevant, but it could be, I suppose, if you're playing against a black deck. But most of the time, this is just a free cycle. If you could even have a 0-lander, and if you got a copy or 2 of this in your hand, then you go, well, maybe I can cycle for another land, or get a land here. It's a cool tool in that way. You could potentially use less lands in your deck, knowing that this can cycle to maybe get one, or at the very least, you have the same amount of lands, but now you don't have to mulligan nearly as much, and that's also pretty nice as well. In addition to just enabling the Cycle Storm mechanics and tactics, and it's a good card. It's a good card. Let's give this a 6.3. 6.3. What do we got next? It's Seeker of Sunlight. It's a single green mana for a 1/1 Merfolk Scout. And for 2 and a green, this creature explores, but you can activate that only as a sorcery. So explore. If you don't remember, you reveal the top card of your library. You put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and then you can either put the card back on top of your library, or you can put it into your graveyard. I like Explore. I think Explore is a really nice mechanic. That's why I'm a big fan of map tokens, and I like anything that makes map tokens. I don't particularly love creatures that just explore themselves, especially when it costs mana. And this is a decent amount of mana, because in some ways this says pay 3 mana to maybe put a +1/+1 counter on this guy. Or it says pay 3 mana to maybe draw a card, and that card has to be a land. But, it's also kind of a surveil in a way, and that's cool. And sometimes it does draw you that card, and that can be really useful. And I don't know. It's I like 1-drops with extra value. Extra value, especially later in the game. I think we have better 1-drops that have better uses in the mid and late game than something like this. But I also don't necessarily hate it. It can work with a lot of different strategies. It works with +1/+1 strategies. It works with landfall strategies. It works with putting stuff in the graveyard strategies. And all of those things can be things that a Pauper deck wants. I just don't know if this guy is good enough at any one of those things to be really that useful. He's not really going to be considered in any of those decks that want to do those things because there are other cards that kind of just do better stuff, and they would take the slot instead. He's not bad, though. He's not bad. I'm going to give him a 3.3, which I think is a pretty respectable score for a card like this. And we'll move on to Forge of Heroes. It's a land. You can tap it to add colorless, or you can tap it to choose a target commander that entered this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it if it's a creature, and a loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker. Yeah, obviously not very useful in Pauper. This is a commander card, and I'm just thinking, like, I have a commander that wants +1/+1 counters on it. Should this be in there? It's also a 3-color deck. I don't know if I need that, but anyway, yeah, this is pointless in Pauper. I would say a 1 in Pauper. There's so many other lands that could just make a colorless for you that do other things that are useful. This is not one of them, and yeah, we'll just pass on that one for a Pauper. But something to consider in a commander deck at least. Sphinx's Insight has some very cool art. For 2 and Azorius, that's white and a blue, you get an instant that says draw 2 cards, but it also has Addendum. If you cast this spell during your main phase, you gain 2 life. 4 mana draw 2 is not amazing. 4 mana draw 2 and gain 2 life is still not that great, but it's not as bad. Yeah, there's just so many other better ways to draw cards. Blue alone has a bunch of cheaper, easier ways of drawing just as many, if not more, cards in this, and forcing you to pay an extra blue and the extra general mana in addition to that just puts this right out of playability. I think we'll give this I'm gonna give it a 2, just a straight 2. It still draws 2 cards. It still potentially gains you a couple life. That's not terrible, but that's not a card you want to put in your deck. Smite the Deathless has a cool name. It is 1 and a red for an instant. Smite the Deathless deals 3 damage to target creature. That creature loses indestructible until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, you exile it instead. That's kind of rad. Kind of an Incinerate in a way. Incinerate, I think, hits players too, right? Damage to target creature or player. Oh, that just can't be regenerated. So actually, it's a little different than that, because it exiles instead. It's kind of like a Yamabushi's Flame. I just need to show you that I know cards. Yamabushi's Flame deals 3 damage to a target creature or player, and if they would be put in the graveyard, and if they would die that turn, they get exiled instead. That costs 3 though. This costs 2, so it's better. Yeah, man, this is a pretty cool card. I don't know why I haven't seen this card before. I played this set. I opened this set a decent amount. And this art rules. This is so cool. Yeah, there's not a ton of indestructible in Pauper. It's not to say there's none. You can do stuff with animating food tokens or animating the bridges and things like that. So there are ways of getting indestructible creatures in Pauper. And this turns off that indestructibility. and it also exiles the creature, which is kind of cool. I just think if you're going to kill the creature, there's probably better, more efficient ways of doing it. Even if you're exiling the creature, there's probably better, more efficient ways of doing it. I like this card, though. I kind of really like this card. Kind of sucks not being able to go face. But if it was able to go face, it would just be better than Lightning Strike. Yeah, it'd just be strictly better than Lightning Strike. And they want to keep Lightning Strike as a usable card. Not in Pauper, but usable in Standard and stuff like that. Man. I don't know. I really don't. Why don't you comment, make a comment down below and tell me what you would rate this card out of 10. I think I'm going to give this a 4 point... I'm going to give it a 4.5. I think it's pretty good. I kind of want to buy a couple copies. I like the regular art better, but yeah, that's a cool card. I like it. Eel Umbra is 1 and a blue for Enchantment Aura that enchants a creature. It has Flash, and enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and also Umbra Armor. So if enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and destroy this aura instead. Eel Umbra's cool. You know, it's a bit of a protection spell. It's a bit of a combat trick pump spell. It's nice. You know, enchantment auras that can go on at flash speed are really nice. Gives you just a little bit more flexibility on how you play it. A little bit more protection from getting blown out with it. The only problem I have with the totem armor or the Umbra armor stuff is that when players make you sacrifice a creature, that doesn't count as being destroyed. If they exile the creature, that doesn't count as being destroyed in the way that this card needs. So you kind of miss out on a number of ways that the creature could die. So sometimes people can kind of play around this. But it's still pretty good, right? I don't know. I like it, but I don't know how much blue really needs this. I think you just have this kind of effect a little better in a lot of other colors like white and green. Not sure blue really needs a card like this. I don't know. Let's say I'm going to give it a 3.1. This is our final official card of the day. It's Sentinel's Eyes. Hey, Sentinel's Eyes is a decent card. Single white mana for an enchantment aura that enchants a creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has vigilance. And this card also has escape for a single white mana. You exile 2 other cards from your graveyard, and you can cast this card again from your graveyard. Pretty cool. I have a single copy of this in my Bogles deck, and it's nice there. This is a really good one-off card in a lot of decks because the escape allows you to play it multiple times. It gets around, not fantastically, but it has a way of getting around the being blown out, having your creature be killed as you're trying to cast this on it. Because you can at least cast it again later, and that's on a different creature, presumably. And that's not too bad. +1/+1, vigilance, those are nice things for a single mana. Pretty good. I don't think you really need to play a bunch of copies in this of this in your decks if you are playing this. But this is like a mono white heroic card. This is a Bogles deck card, and it does decent work there. And vigilance is actually pretty useful in those decks too. So having a creature being able to attack and then stay blocking for the next turn can really make a big difference. Can deny your opponent from attacking or attacking well. into you, but allows you to still stay on the offense. And those decks always want to stay on the offense. They are very aggressive decks. Let's go with a... I'm going to give this a 6.5. I think that is a pretty useful card. So we've gotten a couple of playable Pauper cards for this episode. I'm pretty happy, but yeah, I'd be more happier if we did a bonus card, right? Bonus card. Oh, baby. We've talked about this card before. I've probably even shown this card before on a number of occasions, but now I finally get to talk about it. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. It's Master Decoy, originally from Tempest. Has some other cool arts that I like. I like the 8th edition art. And those are really the only two printings, but the only two arts. But I like both of those arts. I think both those arts are good. But this one has the unicorn zebra guy. And, Phil Folio. Sometimes you just make the card really cool. But also, it's just a good card. For 1 and a white, you get a 1/2 human soldier, and you can pay white and tap it to tap target creature at instant speed. This dude rules. Like, he's an early game creature, and you can stop giant threats with this. You can really screw up the opponent's plans with a card like this. It's cool. It's cool. It's cheap to do too. Your opponent's got what 5/5, a 6/6, an 8/8, something over on the other side of the table, and you just say, no, you don't get that. You can keep that, I suppose, to not even to block, right? Like it's just they go to combat on their turn. In response, you tap that creature down. That creature's not attacking. You get to go swing in on your next turn, keep this guy up, and next turn you just do it all over again. It is just straight up control denial stuff, and I like it. You see this kind of card a little bit less and less these days because I think Wizards knows how much this can dominate and slow down a game. There's so many decks that really just hope for a big creature to get on the board, and then the big creature will take care of the rest. So to have an answer for a big creature like that is repeatable over and over again is pretty darn good. But you also see Wizards making this kind of effect when they do make it a lot more conditional. That it's, it has to be a creature power 2 or less, or it costs more to do it, or it's, a white creature or a non-white creature, something like that. Like, they'll find ways of making this worse. But you can't beat the original, and the original is in Pauper. I don't see decks with this card. I don't see decks play this card pretty much ever anymore. And I don't know if they ever did. But man, I love it. What a classic Magic the Gathering card. What a nice card to come join us on our 90th episode. Isn't that great? I will give Master Decoy, in my heart this is a 9, but it's I got to use my head on this one, and I'm going to give this instead I think a 4. I think just a 4 says this is not a Pauper card, but you have to respect its ability. And its ability is quite good. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. We will see you on the next one.